In this module, we're going to talk about Crew Resource Management, CRM, and Aeronautical Decision Making, ADM. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. This is the Bible of pilots. It contains all the information that's generally needed to know to be a pilot. And so it's a broad spectrum of knowledge. This is basically where you find out how to pilot. In your team, there are multiple roles. One is PIC or RPIC, Pilot in Command or Remote Pilot in Command. This is like the captain of the ship. This is the number one boss man. He's someone operating the controls, person manipulating the controls. The third role, which could be performed by one or more people, is visual observers. These are folks that you have on your team that help you see and be aware of the situation. Now, the pilot in command can do all these roles. There's nothing wrong with that. But there are times, especially at night, that the help of a visual observer is very important. So what is the requirement for the PIC? Now, most of the time, unless it doesn't make sense, if the question asked is who is responsible for, it is the PIC. So they are responsible situational awareness, recognize and address any hazardous crew attitudes, establish effective crew communications, and delegate operational tasks and manage your crew members. So the PIC is basically the captain of the crew or the ship. Crew Management Resources, CRM. It is the effective use of all available resources, human, hardware, and information. Understand, there are questions on this. They are to do that prior to, during the flight, and when the mission is complete. They are to assure a successful outcome for your project. They are to integrate crew resources management in all phases of the operation. The remote pilot in command must delegate operational tasks and manage crew members, recognize and address hazardous attitudes, and establish effective team communication procedures. Remote PIC, he's the leader. He is responsible for CRM, Crew Resource Management. He has to hold a current pilot certificate if it's a commercial operation. He has the final authority and responsibility for the operation and the safety of the drone operation. He is the one they're going to come after if rules are broken, and the PIC identifies, delegates, and manages tasks for each drone operation. The remote PIC, along with other crew members, is required to 1. Scan airspace on the operational area for any collision hazards, maintain awareness of the position of the drone through direct visual observation, visual line of sight, foster an environment where open communication is encouraged and expected between the entire crew to maximize performance. The crew should feel safe to speak up. Normally this is all addressed in the pre-flight briefing. So crew roles, PIC establishes communication protocols prior to flight. They're going to use handheld radios, cell phones, pre-established words, hand signals, so everyone is on the same page with what some kind of information passed on by a crew member means. There's a term called sterile cockpit. This is where during a normal air flight, and in this case, your drone operation, you only discuss the flight, not the great football game last night. You are to keep the crew informed as conditions change about any needed adjustments to assure a safe outcome. The remote pilot must operate the small unmanned aircraft, SUAS, to assure compliance with all applicable provisions. Part 107 does permit the transfer of control of the drone between two or more certified remote pilots. The transfer of aircraft control, i.e. the remote PIC designation, to each other must be accomplished while maintaining a VLOS, visual line of sight, of the drone and without any loss of control. Another very common question that is the responsibility and the authority of the PIC is called see and avoid. The remote pilot has the responsibility to remain clear and yield right away to all other aircrafts, manned or unmanned, and all other potential hazards that might affect the safety of the aircraft, crew, non-participants, and participants. Another role of the PIC is must assure that their crew always operates within visual line of sight